At first, I was just a co-host.
She was no. Okay, so Julio and I were starting the podcast
Okay.
first. Brigitte was kind of begging, like, "Hey,
No.
can I get on an episode?"
It got to the point. It got so bad. We were like, "All right, there's extra space on this couch. You can jump on."
Yeah. First couple episodes, she didn't even ask any questions. She was just kind of sitting there starstruck. We got a couple of she was a little nervous.
I was super nervous. We had, who was it?
Brian Jordan.
Brian Jordan. That was my first. Yeah, that was like our first in-person interviewing someone. So I was just like, I didn't know what to do.
So she laughed for like 30 minutes straight. It was
a
great episode. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a great episode.
God. I got so much shit for that. But from there, I was like, that's the lowest I can go. It'll only get better from here.
Hey guys, really quick, before you get to the video, do me one quick favor. Like the video down below if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the channel. GOLZtv is on this mission of growing the beautiful game in North America. Whether you call it soccer, footy, football, doesn't really matter. We want to see the game grow in the States, in broader North America. Can't do it without your help. Again, just like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy. All right, episode 53, box to box. We got the street voice of the beautiful game on the show today. Urban Pitch, Ramsey, Brigitte, Julio. Damn, it's going to be a vibey episode. I can already tell. I know the soundboard, right? The soundboard.
Yeah,
we need that for sure. But look, guys, thank you so much for being on today. Let's jump right in. Let's get right to it. I got to say, I won't say very rarely, we rarely have groups as creators on the show. I'm so excited for that reason. And you guys are out in LA. I'm in Dallas. I think there's going to be just different vibes, to our respective areas that we can bring to this episode today. I think the audience is going to love it. So let's jump in, guys. For those who haven't heard of Urban Pitch, let's just answer the question that we typically ask right off the bat. Who are you guys today?
The same guy as yesterday.
Bro.
He said, I thought you were gonna have like some deep answers.
No.
Why did I have a feeling Julio was going to troll me today, bro? I just had a feeling based on the content I've already watched, he was going to give me a response like that, bro. I love it. I wouldn't expect anything less out of LA fans. Either way, bro. Either way, I'm so glad you guys are here, and I'll take that. The same people you were yesterday, guys. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Description down below. We're going to link their channel, their socials. A ton of interesting content for you guys to see, and we'll talk more about it. But look, let's talk about Urban Pitch and who you guys are today. You guys are what, 100 episodes deep, right? At least?
Yeah, 109. We're doing 110 tomorrow, I think.
Damn.
We're in the hundreds.
Man, I tell you, a lot of shows don't make it that long. A lot of shows don't last that long. You guys are cruising through these episodes, and I feel like you guys have been friends forever. It feels like just that way on the show. So for those who haven't checked out Urban Pitch before, let's give them a quick summary of what they can expect when they go check out your channel after this episode. I mean, you guys have interviewed everybody from MLS stars to independent content creators. You guys are very much helping to grow the game on this side of the world. I mean, how did Urban Pitch really get started? Like, who had the idea? Were you guys all friends that talked about footy beforehand? Like, just help me out. Start from the beginning.
Ramsey.
Ramsey. You'll do the Urban Pitch overview, and then we'll go into the friendship.
So Urban Pitch, we started in 2016, and as a kind of offshoot of a sister company so our founder John Lee started the whole thing, based out here in LA. The original the sister company of Urban Pitch was Urban Futsal LA, which is we owned and operated different futsal facilities across Los Angeles. So we had I believe 3 separate locations. Ended up owning and operating Adidas is the base LA, so we secured a naming rights partnership with Adidas. Kind of parlayed that from a temporary like a pop-up location. We parlayed that into a more permanent spot. So we had different leagues. We had men's co-ed, we had pickup, we ran different events. We hosted different Adidas launch parties if they had, like a boot release. We did a World Cup event in 2018.
Damn. That's so much, bro. It's so much.
It was just getting to it was just like about to pop off. It was about to be the place to be in LA.
Yeah. Wow. So Urban Pitch came. So following that, so we had the original location first, and then we got an opportunity with Adidas to do a temporary spot. I think it was like 3 or 4 months in LA. And then from there, we were able to get the permanent spot, but there's a gap in between the temporary and permanent spot, just looking for a like the right location, because it's tough to find the right spot, whether it's especially in Los Angeles, the city being as big as it is, in terms of like finding the central location, finding the right space that can accommodate multiple courts. Something that we could have different events at, so it's not just like kind of limited to soccer. We were able to do multiple, whether it was concerts, or we did some bar mitzvahs.
Pop-ups,
we did yeah
yoga.
I love that.
A yoga session. So
in between, John, our founder, wanted to kind of find something to do, because he's a futsal facility owner without a facility, right? So he noticed that there was, a lot of different people that we met through the facility, a lot of different interesting people with great backstories, with a lot of stories to tell. And in that kind of urban soccer scene, there wasn't like a lot of reporting on it, like in terms of like the cultural side of the game. So he started Urban Pitch as a digital media publication to just kind of tell those stories that weren't really being told, that are super interesting. And we've evolved. We were covering everything from freestyle football, street football, futsal. Now we're big into fashion. We're big into the more cultural side of the game, music, art, anything that kind of goes hand in hand with the game. That's less kind of like concerned with what goes on between the lines. So when I'm always given kind of a quick elevator pitch, it's like, we leave the stuff between the lines to ESPN, Fox Sports, all those guys. Those guys do it great. They have a lot more resources than we do. But personally, I find that the stories off the pitch to be more interesting. And up until recently, now you'll see, The Athletic, a bunch of these other big time, legacy media sites with a culture tab on their coverage. So that's getting more and more covered, but we kind of started doing that early on, and we were able to kind of meet a lot of people, become a leader in the space, and we launched the podcast. We're in like the second iteration of the pod, doing it with us three. John was the host before at first, doing different interviews with pros, kind of similar to what we were doing, but early last year, January, February, we were approached by Believe Sports, who have a podcast network, to kind of revamp the show a little bit. And that's kind of where we're at now in terms of, the podcast doing weekly episodes, whether it's solo us three or with a guest or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And look, I first off, there's so much there that we could probably unpack. We probably won't get to, the whole build up today, but I think that, bro, you look at the site, you mentioned digital media. You guys are doing everything, bro. I mean, the Naked Truth section, the fashion, the interviews that honestly go way deeper down rabbit holes than just footy, right? Like you guys talk about just a little bit of everything. And I feel like the camaraderie you guys have, right? The relationship it feels like that you guys have as a group. Like, I mean, was that friendship already in place before they approached you to do the second iteration of the pod? Like, where did the group dynamic come together?
I think I had met Ramsey before we met Julio. We worked together at the base.
Okay.
So he was like managing, and then I came in and I was doing front desk. And so I would help him run the pickup sessions. If we had events, I'd support with that as well. And like while we were there, we're working, we're making sure things are getting done. And then we also would just like banter and talk about soccer, or like make fun of how he doesn't play soccer and he tries to play, or we'll just talk about the players and like the teams and like the culture of LA. I remember we were together when we were working together when Nipsey passed away in LA. That was a really tough day. So we kind of bonded in that way. And then Julio came along. I met him at a Bad Bunny concert.
Nice.
He completely photobombed my picture. I was taking a picture of my outfit, and he came out of nowhere. Random guy. And then I posted it on Instagram, and all these friends of mine were like, "Oh, how do you know the homie Julio? That's Julio, da da da." And that's just how we connected. And then he came into to go play pickup at the base, and then that's where we all kind of met. And like we all just kind of clicked, and we all started hanging out after playing soccer or like playing in games together or having like teams together. And the bond just kind of like created itself within that. And we would hang out after games trying to catch our breath and like talk about soccer, talk about footy in LA, talk about the culture, and just like have those conversations. And it was fun. It was a conversation that would flow on its own. And I think that John maybe saw the potential, and Roy as well, and they reached out and they shared the idea, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. At first, I was just a co-host.
She was no. Okay, so Julio and I were starting the podcast
Okay.
first. Brigitte was kind of begging, like, "Hey,
No.
can I get on an
Yeah,
episode?"
it got to the point it was so bad. We were like, all right, there's extra space in this couch. It's like,
Yo.
you can
I guess you can come along. It's
That's
fine,
what it was.
right?
She didn't ask any questions. She was just kind of sitting there starstruck. She had a couple of she was a little nervous.
I was super nervous. We had, who was it?
Brian Jordan was the
Brian
first one.
Jordan. That was my first.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was like our first in-person interviewing someone. So I was just like, I didn't know what to do.
So she laughed like 30 minutes straight.
She was trying to
It
get
was a great
ready,
episode. It was a
you
great
know,
episode.
yeah.
Oh
It was a
my
great episode.
God. I got so much shit for that. But from there, I was like, that's the lowest I can go. It'll only get better from here.
And now look at all you guys. You guys are like you've been fucking friends for forever. You know what I mean? Like it just feels that way when you watch this show. Each one of you guys contribute in your own way. And the story about Julio coming into this is actually pretty damn funny. I actually I resonate with that a lot. Small world, right? He just kind of pops up out of nowhere at a concert, and you guys are friends now.
We always joke that you guys were destined to meet and become friends.
We were destined to meet.
The thing is, like the soccer space in LA, especially, it's really small. So the person that really reached out to her was one of my college teammates, and he was like, "Hey, how do you know?" Because I played JUCO in Arizona Western College, so he transferred out to UCR where she was at, and so she posted me, and he transferred to play there, and then he was like, "How do you know her?" Like, I was like, "I don't know her. You know me. I'm crazy. I just do things." And that's when he asked, like, "How do you know the homie Julio?" I'm like, she's like, "I don't know that guy. He's just a crazy guy."
Yeah.
A picture.
Just the photo bomber. That's all. I don't know. He's just there.
Habitual one too. Like,
Bro, I love that. So hold on. So the vibes were, you mentioned, Brigitte, they were already kind of there. So I imagine for those who are listening right now, Brigitte's wearing an LAFC jersey. Are you guys all massive like LA MLS supporters? Like, who are you guys repping right now?
Okay, LA MLS supporters for sure.
Mhm.
That I think that does encompass Urban Pitch. But I think me and Julio lean more on the LAFC side than Ramsey. Ramsey likes to be neutral, but I think he's coming this way.
No, okay. So I've explained this multiple times. Where no, I'm not upset. No.
Now he's mad. Now he's mad that I'm making him look
He's
bad.
backpedaling. All right.
That was what she said. It was factual. You know, like they're diehard LAFC fans.
no, I'm joking.
I mean, like they're at. We're gonna go to the game after this, actually. So having worked with both LAFC and LA Galaxy, I've kind of seen both sides of what each brings to the LA scene specifically. I got more so into soccer, like Brigitte mentioned earlier. I didn't grow up playing. I played baseball growing up, and soccer was just not really on my radar until I started. I found what Urban Pitch was. I was big into music, big into kind of all the things that Urban Pitch was covering in addition to soccer, and that connection to soccer is what made me a soccer fan. Of just that added culture, because baseball doesn't really have that. Basketball kind of has that. Football maybe has that, but not as deep as soccer. So that's kind of what really drew me into soccer. So that was around 2016, 2017, right about when LAFC was kind of forming and prior to their inaugural season. So seeing what they've been able to do in such a short time, like it's hard not to align with them and be a fan. But at the same time, like what Galaxy has brought to the table, becoming that first kind of global MLS league, winning those championships. They're obviously not in a great spot right now. And it's like for anyone becoming a soccer fan in LA, I don't think they would even think about becoming a Galaxy fan, if that makes sense, unless they have some kind of connection to the club or they live near the stadium or, something like that.
If they're brand new, I totally get it. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I was initially like, when at first I was like, yo, LFC, this is the cool kid, the cool team. Like, like they're doing all this stuff. They're doing events. They have cool, merch. They have the great logo. They're connecting with the community, all this. But the more I kind of got deeper into MLS and soccer, I was able to appreciate what Galaxy does. And it helps that we work both sides, that I can kind of, navigate that to where, I can go into a Galaxy, themed event or whatever and not feel like I'm in opposing territory. I always say I'm a coward, and that's why I don't pick a side. So I think that's really, really what it boils down to.
Respectable, bro. Respectable. I actually, bro, you upfront about it. I like it. What about globally? Like, I think I've seen, I don't know. I've seen some episodes where I think, Barca was talked about. I think maybe from Brigitte's perspective, Juve was talked about, maybe from Julio's perspective. Who, are you guys supporting, soccer and footy on a global level too?
Yeah, I'm hurting right now. Real lost. That's
4-0.
There you go.
Hell of a game though.
One team winning champions over and over and over again.
You gotta give it back. You gotta give it back.
You gotta give a storyline in soccer. So hopefully Pep wins it because
that'd be dope.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, definitely. I grew up in LA. Parents are Salvadorian. All we talked about was Real Madrid, Barcelona. All my family's Barcelona, so I had to choose Real Madrid. Because I'm like, forget you guys. I don't want to be like you guys. But yeah, like globally, Juventus was a team that I grew up watching as well. Big Del Piero fan. So it was one of those things. My cousin was a Chino Recoba fan. So he's right now happy that Inter was like, Inter's making it to the final. So there's a lot of L's I haven't taken today.
Yeah.
But hey, bro, a great time you living in LA sports wise though. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy right now. It's like what Philly was feeling last year, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
But with championships.
Yes. Oh, with championships, they literally won nothing. They went to every final and won absolutely nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
Somebody had to say it.
You could definitely feel the energy in LA. Like it's super like diehard, for the Lakers, Dodgers, and then also LAFC. Obviously we're rooting for Galaxy to figure it out and make their way to giving us that rivalry again. But right now the energy is really high, and I love that. Like you can feel like all the sports energy and like people like talking about it. You go to bars and like everybody's just watching games and like being outside and hanging out. But going back to like the global footy, I grew up being a big Barcelona fan. My brother is a huge Barca fan, so I've supported Barca since I could remember. And yeah, my dad's not too into soccer. He's more of like, he does, he's just like a very dedicated, hardworking man. And like he'll watch soccer to watch with us, but it's mainly my brother who got me into it. And it's funny because we just found out too that Julio's brother played on the same Chivas USA team as my brother, which is crazy.
Wow,
so like,
small world.
Yeah, super small world. So at some point we were destined to like align again and like unfortunately meet.
It was written in the stars, man. Holy, like that's actually insane. So I think this is actually like a really good point you just touched on. LA just vibing right now from a sports perspective. What about the last few years with soccer? I'm really curious because in Dallas, it's kind of hit or miss. I'm a big proponent of like we need to have more markets embrace this game the way that LA and New York sometimes just take it to a whole new level. Does it feel like that right now over the last few years with MLS growing, soccer becoming more of a thing that you just see in sports bars and people having more conversations around it?
Definitely. Growing up, all you see is Dodger hats, LA hats. Mm-hmm. Now you won't be surprised if you walk around and you see that black and gold LAFC hat walking around. That hat is being worn as much as the Dodgers hat. So it just shows how much LA and that sports space has grown. It's like the Lakers in the 80s when if you were somebody that has a name, an influencer, a big actor, actress, whatever, you're going to be at an LAFC game. Mm-hmm. So it just shows that how much the game has grown. LAFC right now is like the stadium to be at, to be taking pictures at. And it shows that they love their people. They bring in a good team. It's a great show, and people want to go.
And I think another point to mention within that is like we also have to consider the women's side of sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
Angel City is doing an amazing job by marketing, showcasing, and being a part of the community and setting a name for themselves and setting that precedence of like where women's soccer can be and how far women's soccer can go. So I think that's another name to highlight, it's another team to highlight that I'm super proud of and like I'm super inspired by. And I love that I get to see that. And I wish I had that when I was younger, and I don't, and I didn't. But now we have it here in this time today where I've gotten to see the foundation that they've built and like the team that they've become. And I was there in the very first inaugural game. And even that day, like being there, my God, like the energy was just on another level. Like it literally, like you could feel like the empowerment within women, the empowerment within women's sports, and just the energy of like women supporting an LA soccer team that was obviously predominantly and mainly a women's team. So it was just something that I think has pushed the name of soccer in LA, and also just an additional team to like be a part of. You know, you go to places and you'll see LAFC or you'll see Angel City being repped.
Hell yeah, I love that. And so like I mean, I imagine maybe you haven't. I mean, you guys mentioned going to the LAFC game after this. Have you guys been to both LAFC and Angel City? I mean, I gotta go. I know that I was trying to go last season when Austin went there to the playoff game, right? The Western Conference final. I was going to try and make it out to the stadium. Things happened and I couldn't go. But for people who haven't been and they really want to kind of just get immersed in what that's like, Angel City FC and LAFC, what are the vibes?
Yeah, I think for like I think LA in general, there's some stereotypes about LA as a sports town, about how, you know, the fans are like fickle, like they only show up if the team's winning, and you know, it's not a great sports town like New York or Philadelphia or some of these other, Boston or some of these other kind of East Coast cities. But I think that to an extent that is kind of true, where like it's you know, only like you'll see a lot of hype, and when teams are doing well, all of a sudden everyone's a Lakers fan, or you know, when the Dodgers are playing, all of a sudden everybody's wearing Dodgers gear. But for the most part, like
I mean, David go for, I mean, well, yeah, it's been, I agree, there's been some
but
when it comes to like diehard fans, I think LA shows out. You know, I mean, the Lakers were selling out Staples or crypto, whatever it's called, when we were winning 17 games a season, you know. Even Galaxy, they're still playing at a pretty low level compared to what they're used to. They're still, you know, the supporters aren't showing up, but the fans were showing up. You know, they're still getting, you know, a pretty packed stadium out there. So LA fans are loyal. And to answer your question between LAFC and and Angel City, we've actually had this conversation multiple times. Just going like, we're at most, you know, between, if there's an LAFC and LA Galaxy or Angel City game in 1 week, chances are the three of us are going to at least one, if not both of them.
I like that.
So the vibes are definitely different. Angel City, I think, definitely has a more family, laid back vibe to it, where it's not as wild and
hardcore.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there still is that, you know, they have the supporters going hard in the supporter section, doing the chants, doing all that.
But more gentle.
But it's definitely not like,
it's not like going to war like it is for
LA.
LA.
You know, like I would feel safe if I had like young kids with me. I would feel safe bringing them into the supporter section on the Angel City game, rather than an LAFC game. Maybe, you know, maybe we'll go onto the other side. Maybe we'll sit on the opposing goal. Maybe, you know, yeah, you know, because that definitely gets like.
Have you guys been in the supporters section like during the match? Because like when I see the videos, bro, it's like what is it, the group that does the haka? It's the New Zealand rugby team. It feels like that. It feels like I'm watching that. Like they're about to go to war with whoever it is they're playing this week and just get out of their way. Is that accurate?
Definitely. At first, all I did was sit in the supporter section, but every goal they throw beer up in the air, and I was like, you know what?
You have to be ready to get drenched in beer. Like you just have to be ready for it. And there's a rule too. Like you could throw up beer, but you can't do the micheladas because no one's trying to get stains.
Yeah.
And I mean that's like $12 beer too.
Yeah,
it's crazy. The 32,
But
52.
if you get there up in that supporter section, if you get there early, you can buy 2 for 10. So
yeah.
they know how to work their system.
They
there.
got deals. Yeah, they got deals. Man, I remember watching El Tráfico and I'm thinking, like, dude, I can hear, and like, you know, it's supposed to be like a home game for LA Galaxy, right? And like, you know, you hear the section first. You don't see it, you hear it, at least when you're watching it on TV. And then they zoom in, and the section's not nearly as big as you think it's going to be based on the noise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, man, holy shit! Like it's crazy to think about. I mean, I've been to the Q2 once for Austin FC, and I have yet to obviously go see an LAFC game like I mentioned before. But I'm really desperate to compare the two. I think the Q2 last season obviously was popping in ways that, you know, I feel like expansion clubs have the rowdiest fan bases in MLS right now. But I mean, were any of y'all at the Western Conference Final last season?
Yeah.
We were all there.
We were there. We were there for the playoffs, the LA Galaxy, the game before the conference final when they played the Tráfico, and that was probably like we did a podcast right after that, and that was one of the loudest stadiums I've been to. Period.
Yeah.
Like because the Angel City Brigade was there, they were being loud. 32-52 was up. I was sitting right underneath on the field, like right underneath the 32-52, and I needed earplugs. Like my ears were ringing out, and like it was crazy. Like it gets really loud. And this year, I think the El Tráfico at Dignity Health at the Galaxy Stadium really missed out from the supporters being there, and it just made the Galaxy or the LAFC fans just that much louder.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, I really want to go. I think I'm going to find a way to get out there before the end of this season. We'll figure it out, but. Man, I think that, you know, so many fan bases, especially legacy MLS clubs, I can't tell you how envious we are of what LAFC has built so quickly. Like in no time at all. It's one thing to have a great team, right? To just go out and buy a good team and get star players and you know, have a lot to be excited about. It's another to have an entire city buy in to what you're building and be there and willing to die for the badge this early. Like it's crazy, man. I love it. So, you know, kind of pivoting a little bit away from, you know, what it's like to create content and be a part of this soccer revolution in LA. I always find a way of asking some variation of this question to creators who come on, because you guys are as invested, if not more so, into this game, into growing the game on this side of the world than anybody, right? Like I firmly believe that independent content creators and new media is what everybody's calling it. I mean, we're all just invested in growing this game as big as we can possibly make it. Do you think, and then maybe I don't want this to get like too serious of a question, but I ask it to everybody. Like, you guys are at the heart of it in a major market. We're all seeing soccer grow, but I think that people are still trying to compare it, right? And you guys live in a major sports town. Compare it to the NFL, to NBA, to the legacy sports that have been a part of this country forever. I think soccer is going to be a top 2 sport at some time, at some point, 10, 15 years, whatever it takes. I think at some point it's going to get there. But a lot of people believe that it won't, right? So is there, from your opinion and perspective, is there one thing that's really maybe holding soccer back right now from growing to that point and becoming just a mainstay sport in most households in America?
I think it's just the exposure and knowing the game. Growing up, especially in LA, soccer was known as the immigrant sport. People that were born here were not playing. It was usually people, where are your parents from? Why are you playing soccer? Like that would be the whole thing that would come with it. But if you see it now, 94 to now, last World Cup we had here to where the game's at now. Imagine once the 2026 World Cup comes here, this sport's going to explode. I don't know if it's like top 2 sport, but I firmly believe behind basketball and football, soccer can have their name there fighting the football. That's funny, fighting football for that number 2 spot.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ramsey.
No, but I was gonna say, like, while soccer is like relatively new here, like MLS is compared to, you know, all the other sports, you know, like Major League Baseball is like 100 years old. NBA, you know, NFL is dates back, you know, 50s or 75 years, I think was NBA's recent one. There is like a lot of soccer history in the United States that predates MLS, whether it's the NASL in the 70s, you know, some of the U.S. national team, the national teams that went to the World Cup in like the 30s. Like, to me, all that stuff is really, really interesting. And before I was a soccer fan, like growing up as, like a sports normie, like, just was growing up on the traditional American sports.
Yep.
If I had known all that history that was going into it, and there's more coverage on soccer like there is now, like I feel like I would have for sure been more interested in the game. And like for someone like me who came into it later, I think soccer has a lot more stories to tell, because it's a global game, because there's so much more like available ways to watch, to just because it's not in the US. Like Americans have like this kind of like one track mind where it's the US, like American exceptionality or whatever, where like it's you American or nothing, and if it's like European, it's weird, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. So I think that also has a lot to do with it. And as like Julio said, with the 2026 World Cup coming here, and a new generation of fans like start to become like to discover the game, there's no telling like where the game's going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we've definitely had a conversation about where MLS is going and like how it can grow. But I think that it's exposure in this way, right? Like independent medias, content creators that are diehard fans of the game and that want to cover it and share their opinions and just talk about it with the people around them, that will expose the game a little bit more to other people. I don't think that, like for me growing up, I didn't have like media outlets that I would like listen to or that would expose me to MLS, to NWSL. So I think now that we have more and more content creators covering the beautiful game of life, I think that definitely is going to push the norm of it, and also allow it to be elevated to more people. It'll touch more people. It'll create a bigger fan base. And it's also coming from people that possibly grew up playing the game, but also have some sort of connection to the game, whether it was like at one point they played pro, or they just loved it growing up, or their parents were pros, or family relatives were pros in any way, or even just like made it to college and were student athletes. I think having that exposure and having those kind of people share about where it's going, what it can lead to, I think that is what's missing, but it's also happening in the moment. And I think that it's a beautiful thing, because also you don't get to see a lot of people talking about it the way we do, right? Just having conversations about it, talking about how it impacts the for example, here, the LA community, like where you see it being connected. So I think it's things like this that are going to make it, they're going to push the exposure to it and like allow MLS and WSL grow to become bigger than what it is right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the point you made right there, Brigitte, and even a little bit on Ramsey's side, I think it's massive. I think shows like yours, all right, massively important, right? Not just because you're the voice of LA or because you bring this cultural aspect to the game in a way that most pundits and commentators just don't, right? Because they're there to do a job. They're there to break down the tactics. They're there to offer strong commentary, whatever it is that we're watching. But I think that we've entered this era, right, where this next generation of fans, Gen Z, and like I don't even know what's, I feel boomer as hell saying this, but like whatever's coming after that, Gen Alpha, whatever it's called. I think it's they don't have the players of yesteryear that we relied upon to bring us into this game. I think they want to hear about this game from fans, real fans who are passionate fans who won't toe the line. They'll go there, and they're not scared to go there because they bleed for their badge the way that they do, right? And that's why I think independent media and content creators and shows like Urban Pitch are so massively important to bringing this next generation of fans into this game and growing to this sport to what it can really be. I think legacy media is still very much relevant. They probably always will be in some form or fashion, right? But I do think that the limelight is shifting a little bit. And I think that you guys have something special there, just with the camaraderie that you guys have between each other. When you guys have guests on, it still somehow feels like you're talking to family members or friends. Like, I think that aspect of your show should never go away. I think you guys are extremely talented at what you do. And I hope that, moving forward, there's a ton more to come from Urban Pitch. So before we wrap up, I mean, I would love to get some kind of I don't want to say a teaser. You don't have to lean into it too much, but I mean, what's next for the show and for the media site? I mean, you guys are doing so much. I mean, as you guys continue to scale, is there some kind of end goal in sight that maybe your audience can't see yet?
Well, Bridget's Corner is in the making.
Yes.
We've just been trying to get a segment this whole time. We've thrown her like, you know, some like carrots
Snippets here and there, yeah.
No, but I mean, like, just continuing to do what we do, improving on what we do. Like we were just talking about this internally with you know, us three and our producer, of just ways we can keep getting better and what we do well, but also what we need to improve on, how to, you know, hone our strengths, like make them stronger, and then just, you know, bring up what we need to improve too. So there's a lot of things that we're working on, and you know, this is going to sound pretty vague, but we're just trying to improve on from show to show. Like for this week is better than, as long as this week is better than last week, you know, as long as we keep that upward trajectory, you know, then that's something that we're consistently striving towards. And then hopefully we can make some road trips. We've been talking about some, you know, going out to Austin, going out to Dallas, going out to, you know, Miami, Portland, wherever it is.
Hell yeah.
That, you know, also has, you know, vibe, like soccer cities with vibes. And so that's also stuff that we've been working on. And then just, you know, just getting better every episode.
Yeah.
I love that, guys. I love that. Look, you guys are already past the 100 mark. I got a feeling 200's not far away. You guys are going to keep pushing. And I think you mentioned before getting better every episode. I can clearly tell just, I mean, I even just preparing for this show, I watched some of the old ones to where you guys are today. Man, I mean, the content's just getting better and better. Yeah. I mean, look, everyone's getting better. I mean, I'll be honest, like even going back to watch my own stuff, I can't even tell you how cringe I was just like in the first few episodes. It's actually insane. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And for anyone who stuck around to the end of the episode, I'm going to link everything Urban Pitch down below. Go check them out. I think that the vibes on today's show of Box to Box were fantastic, but it doesn't even compare to an episode of Urban Pitch and kind of what they do there with their interviews and all the cultural game that they bring to the beautiful game here in the States. So again, Ramsey, Brigitte, Julio, thank you all so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we can do this again soon. We'll catch up maybe at 200 and we'll kind of see where you guys are then. You're probably going to be fucking pros by then. We'll see. I have no expectation less of that. So again, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. For anyone sticking around to the episode, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you. We appreciate it.